So what do you do when God feels far away? When you feel far away from God? Have you ever had one of those moments relationally with somebody where too much time has gone on and it's too awkward to just pick back up where you left off? Or maybe somebody said something, you said something, somebody did something, you did something, somebody didn't do what they thought the other thought they were supposed to do. And it created this gap, this tension that as time went on, as weeks went on, as months went on, as years went on, it's like, you just didn't connect. Or maybe there was somebody you were really close with in college, or when you were first married, or in high school, and now you're like, man, I wish we could reconnect, but you're not sure how to find your way back. You feel far away. I think sometimes that happens with God. It could be a summer, and it's like you took a summer and vacation and just got out of your routines and rhythms. I know for some people, the whole COVID experience just caused a gap. They stopped attending, and they got out of their rhythms. For others during COVID, with all of the racial and political and mask, unmask, vaccine, all of that, it created a tension where somebody said or did something or didn't do something, a church said or did something, and it was like, there's this gap. And then as time went on, it's like you found yourself drifting further away from God. If that's where you're at, I'm really glad that you're here. And there's a principle that's true about most of our relationships in life. The principle is this: life doesn't drift towards better. Like, if you think about drifting, when you find yourself in a marriage, in a relationship with somebody, in your own physical health, and this is true for us spiritually, it doesn't just drift into better, it drifts into distance. That's what happens. And so you need to take an intentional step towards what you want, because our tendency is to kind of wait for that perfect moment, that thing that we wait for the perfect circumstances, and when we end up just waiting, drifting our way further apart. James, the brother of Jesus, he said, draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. And what's interesting is that when we take a step towards what we want, and I think this is true in our relationships and in our life, instead of waiting for it, it moves us towards the future that we want. And so, said it simply, instead of waiting for it, walk towards it. Like, if you feel far away from God and you're waiting for God to close the distance, do you know what the Bible teaches? Is that he's already near to you. Like Psalm 139 says that you can't escape his presence. And so maybe the distance isn't as far as you think. Maybe the disappointment that you have written all over God's face isn't actually true. Maybe he's just waiting for you to turn back, to trust him, to walk towards him again. James 4:8. Come close to God, and he will come close to you. Talks about it in Jeremiah 29, where the nation of Israel has been so far from God in their choices and their behaviors. Mentally, they've been looking everywhere but God. And God's message was, you'll find me if you seek after me with all of your heart. I think the same is true for you and me. How do you do that? I think one of the primary ways is to find a life-giving church. I know some of you are like, but church is what hurt me, and church is the problem, and church is, I get it. But the reality is, a church without broken people is a broken church. Jesus was accused of hanging out with sinners. So the goal of church isn't to find the perfect, safe environment. It's to find a life-giving movement that help encourage our faith. Find one. Find a church that helps you know God personally, that helps you find freedom, where it's okay to not be okay. A church that helps you discover your purpose, because you won't know what you were made to do until you know who made you. And when you know what you were made to do, you're going to know who made you more. And step into a church that helps you make a difference. You're going to know and experience God when you see him using you to make a difference in somebody else's life. And so I don't know where or what that looks like for you today. I know at Cedar Creek, we love helping people on their life-changing adventure know God in personal ways. Not that it's always perfect, but that's our hope. And I know for many of you, you don't live locally, or even if you do, it may not be the perfect fit. Find an environment that's going to help you move closer to God. Take that intentional step today. And I think as time goes on, you'll feel closer to Him than ever when you walk towards it instead of waiting for it. Thanks.